All right, we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment. But before we go back to that, I would like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. Subscribe if you can, donate if you can, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show. Really does mean a lot. Really helps everyone here. Not just me, but all the great content creators on this channel, on this network. So definitely something I would appreciate. But anyways, thank you for enjoying the content. And let's get back here to our second segment here of the show, and that is going to be about spring training, which I guess we've talked about in the first segment. Kind of different because it was kind of an iteration of spring training, you could say, with it being the spring breakout games. But this is the top spring training performers so far, in my opinion. It's around 10 guys, just guys that I thought deserves some notice about how well they were performing in spring training, and that they might have forced their way onto a roster, and they might have not had a spot before. Definitely these guys I'm looking at right now as big performers in spring training so far, and definitely excited for them. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is David Bote of the Chicago Cubs. David Bote was a guy who came up, had a lot of promise, signed a big extension with the Cubs right away. It was for like $25 million. It wasn't that big, but still kind of big for that time when you didn't really see people giving out huge prospect extensions that much. Kind of a super utility guy that he's kind of faded in the past few years. Not been that bad, just not really been a full everyday starter. So far in spring, he's tied for the lead with 5 home runs in all of spring training. All the stats, 1,091 OPS. He's done really, really well, as you can see. And I think it's interesting because the Cubs' real one main spot that they don't have someone is third base. They have some guys there. They have Christopher Morel. They have Nick Magical. Of course, they have Bote. They have Patrick Wisdom. But no real guys who were like running away with it at that third base position. I mean, Christopher Morel is probably the best player there out of the bunch. He's also younger, but his defense is kind of a question mark, and I think there's a lot of value in keeping him to a lot of different places, kind of as a Ben Zobrist type role, of course, who was with the Cubs as well. So I think there could be an opening for third base there, and I mean, if Bote keeps going with this, he could make it a real chance to win the third base position, and even not maybe just be on the opening day roster as a whole, and as being a valuable bench guy. So definitely someone to watch if you're a Cubs fan, if you're a baseball fan. David Bote's done really, really well so far. And it's nice that he is, finding his groove again. I mentioned that Bote was tied with 5 homers with the lead for the most home runs in spring training. Well, the guy he's tied with is a guy we've talked about a few times over the past few days of the show, and that is O'Neal Cruz. O'Neal Cruz has 5 home runs for the Pirates, a 1.331 OPS, just absolutely crushing the baseball right now. Only in 24 at-bats he has these numbers, so it's pretty incredible. I feel like this guy was kind of forgotten with the Pirates. They've had so much young talent come up in the past few months or so with Tamar Johnson, with, of course, Henry Davis, Andy Rodriguez, Paul Skeens getting drafted. I feel like Cruz has kind of not been shown as regularly because of the injury. He hasn't played in a little while. And when he was coming up, people all talked about him all day, every day, because of the physical tools he has, how hard he was hitting the baseball. And I feel like they're not talking about him as much anymore. So he kind of maybe saw that, wanted to show people, hey, I'm still that guy. I can still play really, really well. I can still be, a big positive to this Pirates team, and a guy that's going to be extremely valuable. And I think he's shown that so far. These numbers are pretty incredible. So really excited for him, and really happy that he's crushing baseballs again, playing super well for the Pirates. And I definitely say he's going to be their opening day shortstop and a franchise guy. They already have a lot of franchise guys locked down here in Brian Reynolds, Brian Hayes, Mitch Keller, all got big extensions. And I think it's possible O'Neal Cruz could be that guy as well in the next coming month or so. If he continues crushing baseballs like this, if he continues playing really, really well. So, definitely someone to watch. And he's always fun to watch when he's at the plate and performing well. After that, we have a surprising one, really. Miguel Andujar of the Oakland A's. Miguel Andujar has 4 home runs in spring, has a 1.237 OPS, has performed really, really well. This is a guy who was a Rookie of the Year runner-up to Shohei Ohtani I mean, had a lot of promise coming up. Of course, again, almost won Rookie of the Year, and then kind of faded. There was always questions about his defense, but I think a lot of people are like, okay, we can live with that if he keeps hitting the baseball the way he has, being as good as he has been with third base, and he kind of faded out with hitting as well. I mean, again, he was great in his first year, but after that, he didn't really perform up to standards again. Kind of was up and down in the big leagues. Requested a trade from the Yankees a few times. Got traded finally to the Pirates. Didn't perform well there. Signed a minor league contract with the Pirates. With the A's, and has done really, really well in spring. Again, you saw the numbers. You saw what he was doing, and I think he's kind of showing himself maybe that he wants to be known as a guy again. I think he's easily going to make their opening day roster right now. I think it's not that hard to make their opening day roster because it's the A's, but at the same time, it's still a great comeback, and I'm really excited to watch it. I think he could definitely become maybe the Brent Rooker of this year. Obviously, Brent Rooker was a guy who kind of floated around from team to team, didn't really have a home, wasn't really that good, and then crushed it with the A's last year and became a big-time trade candidate. I didn't get traded, but I think if he can do what he did last year again, I think he could definitely be a huge trade candidate. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for Andujar, and definitely really interested to see where his career goes from this. He's obviously performed really, really well. So yeah, definitely super fun storyline to talk about, and something super exciting if you're a A's fan, which doesn't really happen much, considering what your franchise has happened in a few years. So yeah, hopefully he can become a big time guy with the A's, or if not, gets traded for some good prospects. So I think that's your real big hope if you're an A's fan. After that, at the top of the OPS leaderboard for spring training, this is also being qualified. So it's my guy Wyatt Langford. I've talked about this guy so much in the pod. This is probably like my 6th or 7th time. There's probably more than that, but yeah, this guy's a beast. Drafted top 5 from Florida. Was absolutely incredible with Flem. Got drafted by the Rangers, who then won the World Series. So you're adding a top 5 prospect to a World Series offense. It's pretty incredible. And a 1.24 OPS in, a significant amount of at bats here. 36 at bats, that's a lot. So it's showing he's not a fluke. Fluke, 5 home runs, 14 RBIs, almost hitting 400. He's just doing so incredible. I think it's a real chance he makes the opening day roster after being a top 5 pick just in last year's draft. And he's someone to really watch in the season, really see what happens with him. And yeah, definitely super excited to watch him now in the future and just how his career progresses. And I think with a lot of injuries to the pitching staff, the Rangers are going to have to rely on their offense a lot more. And I think Wyatt Langford's going to be a guy to take them places that they want to go after last year's incredible run. We're going to talk about another Oakland A here. Wow, this is the most I've talked about the A's probably the entire time I've had the show. We're talking about Zach Gelof. He has a 1.209 OPS so far with the A's in spring training, 4 home runs, also almost hitting 400. Yeah, this is a guy that has done really well in a small sample size in his career. Last year was his first year. Had an 841 OPS, 270 at bats, middle infielder. I think he's trying to become part of that young A's core for however long they are the A's and play in Oakland. I think the A's are just looking for some people to build around right now, and I definitely think Gelof can become one of those guys if he continues playing this way. Again, he's been incredible, and spring training's been no different right now. So, yeah, definitely a guy with my eyes on in Zach Gelof. Done really, really well, and I think he's gonna continue becoming great and becoming a big part of this A's team. After that, we have Luis Matos of the San Francisco Giants. Another guy that is young, a lot to prove with the Giants. Was a rookie last year. Didn't perform very well. 660 OPS. Was good in center field, but didn't really play all that well with hitting the bat, of course. Obviously, he's doing great in spring training now. 3 home runs, 113 OPS. 1.113, I should say. Sorry. Has really crushed the ball. Has really shown a lot with his hitting tool, maybe developing over the offseason. So I think this could be a guy that fights for a starting spot in the Giants outfield. Obviously, it is kind of full there with Jung-Hoo Lee, Mike Yastrzemski, Mark Conforto, Horace Soler Manning DH, but I know Conforto's been mentioned in trade rumors, so I don't know if the Giants are too attached to him. So I mean, if Matos can win a job, I don't think that's impossible that he could potentially win the job in the outfield. So I think that's definitely someone to watch if you're a Giants fan, if you're a baseball fan as well. This guy's doing really well in spring training and trying to show last year, he was just developing, and this year he's kind of developed fully and done really well. After that, we have a guy I've also talked about a lot in this podcast, James Wood. Just a monster of a human being. This guy is 6'6", 234, 21 years old, one of the top prospects in baseball, has been one of the top prospects in baseball for a long time now, was one of the big parts of the original Juan Soto trade from Washington to San Diego. It's just been crushing the baseball. 3 home runs, 3 stolen bases, 5 RBIs, 1.106 OPS. Just done really incredible so far, and definitely got to watch and put on your radar if you're a baseball fan with how good he can be in the future. I think this is a guy that has a lot of potential, and is going to be a big part of the Nationals' future, and I think is already showing that with his with the way he's performed this spring training with the Nationals. After that, we have another San Francisco Giants guy here. We have David Villar, a middle infielder. He's 27, so he's on the older side. Never really had a good MLB season, but he's done really well this spring. 30 at-bats, 2 home runs, 1.055 OPS. That's really solid numbers there. Again, this is a guy that I think could be going for a top bench spot on the Giants roster. Middle infielder, has some versatility a little bit. So, he's done really, really well. And if you're a Giants fan, you should be super excited with that. So another guy I think has gone under the radar, and he's going to fight for a spot. One more guy I wanted to talk about here is Lawrence Butler of the A's, another A's guy. Good for them for finally having some people up there. 33 at-bats. He has no home runs, actually, but he's hitting .424. Has a 1.019 OPS, 1.019 OPS to get it right. He's a stolen base. Another guy who's big guy, 6'3", 210. Came up a little bit last year, was not very good, but I think has a lot of tools to be just a great guy with the A's in the future. He's very athletic, has raw talent, raw ability, and another guy you want to look forward to as an A's fan. A guy who, he's done really well this spring, and a guy I think can continue going with that and becoming a really good player. So, definitely a guy I'd look forward to watching, and definitely a guy I would have my eyes on. Those are the guys I want to talk about for top spring training performers so far. It was, a few different guys. That was, those some guys I'd watch in spring training, and I watch what they're doing so far, and really excited for what they have done and what they can do in the future. We're going to go on to our second break of the show here, but before we do that, we're going to talk about our third segment, which is going to be about MLB teams, and I kind of put them into a tier list a little bit. I've done a lot of power rankings, but I wanted to do something more with like groups of teams and just talk about that as a whole, not splitting it into leagues. So this is something that interested me, and we'll talk about it after the break. So thanks.